Welcome to the Purpose Pro podcast. Our mission is to help you discover your unique design and purpose. If you love learning simple and effective ways to lead yourself and others well, this podcast is for you. And we got another slice this season for you. And I got to be honest where this one came from, because we're gonna dive in to some principles that I've been wrestling with when it comes to stewarding our time here on this earth well, and specifically through the lens of our time in the workplace. So here's how this came about, Zach. I'm sitting, I got asked last minute to fill in for a guy who couldn't speak for at a gig. He had something come up, and so he's like, "Hey, here's my topic. Can you go and speak on it?"
So you're just gonna read his notes tomorrow.
And I was like, "All right, well, give me your notes, and I'll do my best." And I looked at his notes, and I'm like, "Oh man, it's good." But it's not me. It doesn't connect with this doesn't connect with me.
So you added some expletives.
So I scratched out all his notes, and I came up with my own, and I looked back and I was like, dude, this is really good. I connect with this, and I think others might too. So I'm going to jump into 4 principles that I think if we really own or really grasp, then we're gonna look back and say, man, we did this life well.
Okay.
And I think that's what all of us are after, especially if you listen to this podcast, right?
This is like a short version of that Jordan Peterson book. I think he had 12 axioms.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
You got 4.
It's like John Maxwell. Like, I think he had one that was like 25 principles or something to leadership. It's like you get all 25 of these things right, and maybe you'll make it.
365 principles to change your year.
All right. Here's number 1.
Okay.
I think the first principle to stewarding this life well is humility. And when I think of humility, I think of not just humility when we're winning, humility when we're losing, right? It's humility at all times. And it's like not thinking more of ourselves than we really should. And I think part of that's grounded in the fact that just nobody likes to work with prideful, arrogant people.
Yeah.
And the reality is, in my experience, I don't know about yours, prideful, arrogant people don't know they're prideful and arrogant, right?
Right.
I mean, they try to mask it in confidence, right? And there's something to confidence, but man, I have worked under confident, humble leaders who admit they don't know everything and are always open to what's new and are always the first to kind of admit when they fall short or they messed up on something, they own it. And to me, that's humility.
Yeah, I think it makes them authentic people, which establishes trust, which ultimately is how we connect with people, right? Through a relationship. Humility is not self-deprecating. It's not putting yourself down, beating yourself up. It really is just, owning and being vulnerable, like with the areas you do fall short and when you fall short.
Yeah.
And so I heard it today. I was actually in a conversation with a guy, and he was talking about how humility is so important because it connects to people, and it's all about connecting with people. It's all about influence. He's like, it's like a magnet, right? And whenever you're humble, people are drawn to you. And then flip it around. Whenever you're not humble, the opposite is true. People are repelled from you. Mm-hmm. And the higher that you get up in leadership, the more influence you have, the more powerful that magnet is.
That's a great analogy. And here's just a quick self-test. Just think about the last time you knocked it out of the park. You did something really, really well. Mm-hmm. I mean, how long did you spend patting yourself on the back and putting everybody else down in your mind? Like, yeah, they weren't going to be able to do this. They couldn't do this. You know what I mean? Those are the kind of things that, be confident, but be careful you're not breeding pride and arrogance. Be humble and be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that went well.
Yeah, use your gifts, your knowledge to raise other people up, right?
Yeah.
If you rise on the praises of people, you'll fall on their critiques. And the higher you get, the more critiques you're going to have. So don't get caught up in stuff. I love it. Axiom number 2. Here we go.
Accountability.
Okay.
And I'm thinking through the lens of a couple of different things, but I'm thinking that the best leaders, they have checks, right? Mm-hmm. You can't be a person that is totally unchecked. And I'm thinking even if you're entrepreneurial and you're used to controlling and running your own ship, who are the mentors in your life? Who are the people in your life that are helping you, create the guardrails so you don't drift left or right, that are holding you to the things that you say you're going to do. And when you do something that is, has negative ripple effects, let's say, do you have people around you that can tell you the hard truth and tell you, hey, man, you can do better. You blew that. That's not who you are. And what you did hurt people, but you can do better. Accountability. And I think accountability ties into humility because it's kind of the thing that helps us realign, put ourselves in check, but then holds us to what we say we want to do.
Yeah. I think I think about a lot of personality-driven organizations. Maybe that's a church, maybe it's a business, and it's good as long as that guy's there. But then he leaves and everything falls apart. The church dies, the organization crashes, people quit, their jobs. The goal really is to build something bigger than just you and to bring other people along. This also sounds like a great way to stay humble, right? To allow people into your life.
Yep.
Businesses have board of directors. You should set up your own board of directors. People that'll shoot you straight, people that'll encourage you, people that hold you to what you say you want to do, and really like who you want to be.
Yeah, and think about it, even if you have one employee, right, or you work within a team, and your team is a part of a bigger corporation or organization, there's a culture in place. And a lot of people have culture on the wall where we do this, we believe in this, these are our principles, and this is that. But there's no accountability because when leadership or anybody, does something against any of those principles or defies or bends the culture in some way, they rarely get called out. And so to me, I personally, I want to be around people that always feel comfortable telling me the hard truth. And if I have to, because if my personality is too, I don't know. Sometimes people just have big personalities and folks are afraid to say anything to them.
Yeah.
I want to invite that feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you talk about that leader, and I'm starting to hear a culture of compliance and not of authentic community.
Right.
And you just end up with a bunch of yes men.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's you in your organization living it out how you would want it done. It's not something bigger. There are we talked about Enneagram. There's 8 other personalities out there. Yeah. What about those people?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. 100%. And number 3, it kind of sounds almost like the opposite of number 2, but it's not. And that is adventure. Adventure as a way of stewarding this life well, stewarding our time in the workplace well. I want to be on adventure.
How do I adventure at work?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So what does that look like? Because adventure implies some level of risk. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take chances here, and maybe sometimes that risk or those chances are in trying to voice my opinion more. Maybe it's trying to help a coworker or somebody outside the walls of work, right? Sometimes it's it really is shifting and doing something that you don't normally do, but you're taking chances, you're going for it, and I think that's where with accountability, I don't want to take so much risk that I'm going crazy off the rails, but I want to embrace my gut more. I have an idea, I have a hunch, and how many of us have ideas and hunches that we just don't pursue?
Yeah, the nightmare, I think, for most people is that 9-to-5 cubicle grind where you just survive 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
And we're all created for so much more. Mm-hmm. And so finding out what that adventure looks like for you in your unique context, I think, is really important.
Yeah. Number 4, last one, is this idea of sacrifice. And we had a guest this season, former NBA player, and he talked about those that serve really, really well, from coaches to CEOs to pastors, and these are people that consistently laid down their time, energy, talent for others. Mm-hmm. And it's a gift. Some leaders are just gifted to do that. But when I think of I want to steward every ounce of time I have on this earth well, what does that look like? It looks like oftentimes putting others before myself. As some people, you might get caught up in you do that too much. You don't think about yourself enough because you're constantly wearing yourself out. But for a lot of us, there's areas we know we could sacrifice more in. We just don't want to.
Yeah. I think some people need to invest in themselves to invest in others. Others need to invest in others, and then watch that be an investment in themselves. Man, that talk with Dave was awesome. It was cool. We actually continued that conversation the next day, thinking about those coaching trees. And if you haven't listened to that episode, go check it out. But just the legacy, this idea of sacrifice, or the reward that comes from sacrifice, for me is all about like having the end in mind.
Yeah.
If I want to steward this life well, then what does living a good life actually look like? What kind of life do I want to tell people I lived? I mean, almost thinking like of your it's kind of morbid and stuff, like whatever. But at my funeral, who do I want there? What do I want people saying about me? What kind of things did I do to get to that place? And how do I start carving out my time and my energy and connecting with the people that are going to get me to that place?
Yep. So there you have it. I would say this. If you're right now, you're listening, and I want you to share this episode with somebody that you know is struggling in some way, and maybe they know that there's more. They know they're not maximizing their potential. They know they want to steward this life well, but they feel stuck in some way, shape, or form. I'm telling you, the best thing that they can do right now is register for a Purpose Project workshop with us, because our guides will take you through your unique design and their unique design in a way you've never seen it before. And we're going to start to unlock some of those aha moments, right? And things are going to start to shift. But I think this is part of the adventure. It's like, people are like, maybe I've done that kind of stuff before. Do I really want to, what is this? Is this counseling? Is this like, no, it's spending time investing in who you've been designed to be and owning that more. And so go to purposepro.org and register for a workshop. And just as a reminder, man, some of you guys are jumping in, don't know the background of what we do. But when you purchase a product from us, a workshop, because you're trying to tap into your unique design and purpose, all those proceeds go to our programs that serve at-risk kids. We are a 100% nonprofit organization, so this is not about money. This is about moving the needle here, drawing out the best in who each of us are made to be, and that's the best place to start. purposepro.org, register for a private Purpose Project workshop. We got an online course if you'd rather start there, but you're sowing into the next generation as you invest in yourself at the same time.
That's good, man. I love it. Students need this because it's important to start well.
Yeah.
I mean, we know this will help them live with less regret. But if you're in the middle of your journey or towards the end of the journey, don't check out and just sit on the bench. Like, you have so much more life. Stewarding your life and the resources you have looks totally different. And so these students need you to invest in them. Now it's time to start passing on the knowledge and the wealth of resources that you guys have. Yeah. So finish well.
Finish well. That's what we're trying to do here. And I know that's what you're trying to do too. So we appreciate you guys for listening. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Follow us on our social media networks. Please do share this podcast. Copy the link. Text it to somebody. It really does help us with our mission to help the next generation understand their unique design and purpose, and to raise up leaders who do the same. So until next time.